it's going a little too easy. So we have not disconnected anything from the ledger. I went to go lift this up. Somebody could have died. This is their ledger. Handful of nails. No ledger locks, no bolts, no anchors, no flashing. No. So the audio didn't work, so I'm going to do a voiceover. So obviously what I'm saying in my mouth are not going to line up. So ultimately what I'm talking about is the different size pressure treated lumber. So they're all 2x8s. But for example, the one I'm showing right now is 7 1/4. The one that I'm going to show now is 7 1/4. But the one to my right is 7 1/2. So we've gotten 7 1/8, 7 3/8, 7 5/8, almost up to 7 3/4. It's very important when you're framing a deck you do not get the wave as my hand showing. So what you want to do is when you start framing either on the left side or the right side, you want to start with either the highest or the lowest and gradually either work your way up or work your way down. This will eliminate having waves in your deck boards when you're using composite or PVC. If you're using pressure treated deck boards, it's not the end of the world and you probably won't notice it. But using composite or PVC, I highly recommend doing this method. Alright, now it's time to finally start framing. So what we're doing is we're installing the drop beams inside of our Techno Metal Post helical piles. And what I'm going to do now is another voiceover because the audio didn't work in this video either. So what I'm showing is the two separate drop beams sitting inside of the helical piles and the way that the joist is going to sit on top of them. So this lower portion of the deck is what we call a freestanding deck. So there's a drop beam against the house, and then there's a drop beam which my hand is on right now. Whenever you're constructing drop beams, it's very important to use joist tape or zip tape or Fasten Masters deck coating. You want to cover it up because you want to prevent moisture and water from getting in between. So that beam looks big. It's actually 3 2x10s sandwiched together. So I'm walking my way over to the other side, which is going to be an elevated portion. So over here we're actually going to install a ledger. So the ledger is going to attach to the house, and those helical piles that he's showing right now are going to accept those 6x6s. So we're going to do a ledger against the house, the 6x6s for the upper portion, and then we're going to do a freestanding deck on the two drop beams below for the lower deck. Now if this is your first time framing a deck, this is something that I recommend. I'm obviously just showing this for demonstration purposes, but what we do is we attach the ledger and what we call the rim together and mark our joist. So whether you're doing 16 inches on center or 12 inches on center. This allows you to know exactly where all of the joists are going to go, and it lines it all up perfectly for you. So if you pre-mark them like I'm doing here, it lines the inside and the outside so you know where the joist goes when you mark that X and where you have to nail. So basically they're an exact replica. Some people call it like a storyboard, but regardless, all I'm using is those 2 clamps to hold it together and marking all of the joists. Now on this deck we're doing a lot of fancy intricate inlays and picture frames, so pre-marking where all of your joists go significantly help out, so that way you know where your flat blocking or ladder blocking or whatever the case may be have to go ahead of time, rather than framing everything 16 or 12 on center and then having to modify it later. With our drop beams in place, we're finally installing some joists. So what we're doing is we're laying out all the joists and we're installing them. The benefit of doing a freestanding deck is we don't need joist hangers and you don't need to do any type of flashing. You basically just assemble everything and slide it right into place. And then we're going to come back and install our rim joists. Trick is, watch where you put your fingers. Shoot a nail in there. Take your hammer and pry it up. So these are the lights. They go like that. So I've never used these on a deck before. Usually we do riser lights, but they're either black or white, and yeah, they don't look good. Anyways. How to install landscape lighting at your house. This is called a transformer. The thing I like about this is it has a photo eye in it. So dusk, you can program it to be dusk to dawn. You can program it for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. In the back, it accepts the 2 wires, and all you do is plug it in. There's different types of lights. So this is an uplight, so the stake goes in the ground and it illuminates a house or a tree. This is like a riser light for steps. This is an undermount light, so in this we're actually using this exact light at this deck, but it's typical for hardscaping underneath the cap to illuminate stairs. This Trex. So again, you drill a hole, slide these in, and they're great for stairs. And then finally, this is a post cap light. So there's 2 wires, and all you do is you wire it up, silicone the top, put it on top of the cap. This is landscape wire. So this particular one is 14-2. So there's 2 separate wires. Take your transformer. On the bottom there's 2 slots. This one goes in there, that one. With low voltage it doesn't make a difference which one goes in where. Now there's multiple ways to attach the light fixture to the actual wire. You can use silicone filled wire nuts, Or for these, for example, these are Hampton Bay. I think I got these at Home Depot. They come with this clip. So all you do is you slide the wire in like that. So you slide the wire in like that, and then just squeeze. And what that does is there's two blades that basically puncture the sides of the wire. Now the way I do it is, I would say 95% of the time, we do not use wire nuts. These are called King Ace connectors. They come with a little screw, you slide it on, tighten it down with an Allen wrench, obviously there would be wire coming out this side. You slide this heat shrink wrap over it. And then you take your heat gun and heat it up. And what that does is that makes it watertight. But occasionally wire nuts can slip off, fall off, whatever the case may be. This will never go anywhere. So like I said, a majority, if not all the time, we always use these because inside decks, retaining walls, under caps, we don't ever want to have to replace anything or fix anything. So this is a surefire way of doing that. The lights that we're using here are made by Kichler. Kichler offers a full range of path lights, up lights. They even offer ceiling fans, accent lights,